Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another advanced listening practice lesson. Hello, let's get started with the show. Well, today, I wanted to talk about just a story, kind of an interesting story, but with a very interesting message, a very powerful message, in fact, and if you apply it in your own life, I'm sure you will see, as I have in my life, some really interesting things happen that this is something especially that if you don't know exactly how something will happen or you're trying to do something new and different, it will help you achieve it much more easily. Well, this is not only for, kind of different things, new things you like to do, things where you don't know exactly how you want to do them, but also things that are maybe a bit more challenging, that require lots of different pieces coming together. So this could be something like building a business or developing fluency, where, again, you're trying to mix many different elements together and get all of them to work well such that you can become a fluent speaker or, a successful entrepreneur or anything else. Anyway, let's get into it. Well, this is a story from about maybe, 2008, or 2006. Yeah, 2006. And I was living in Alaska at the time. So I had gone up there with a friend of mine. He wanted to do salmon fishing. So this is during the summer when salmon fishing boats go out into the waters around Alaska because they have good fish up there. So that's a kind of typical thing that maybe some college kids or younger students can do. But anyway, so you go up to Alaska and actually just walk around the fishing docks and look for jobs up there. So my friend, he had researched a little bit more about this and found some things that he really wanted to do. And one of those was getting onto a fishing boat because he really enjoyed fishing and that kind of thing. So I enjoy fishing myself from time to time, but it wasn't really important for me to do that. So when we got up there, this is, I'll tell kind of a shortened version of the story. But so my friend and I, we met after I'd been living in Japan for about 2 years. He and I wanted to just go up to Alaska and see the sights up there. We were kind of, still worried about the condition of the planet and the destruction really that we're doing. Our kind of own behavior is causing that. So we wanted to maybe see a piece of that maybe undisturbed wilderness in Alaska, hopefully before it's gone, if it will disappear. We don't know for sure, but anyway, that was part of our motivation for wanting to go up there. And Alaska is a very beautiful place if you've never been up there before, especially in the summertime. It's not cold all year round. It's actually really nice in the summertime, but it's very interesting when you have the sun staying up, at like midnight, you can go out for a walk and it's still sunny, which is really interesting in summertime. Anyway, so we went up there and he had more of a specific plan than I did, and he again wanted to walk around. We went through, we got out of the airport in Anchorage, I believe, and then we went through, we took a van down to an island called Kodiak, so that's where we stayed, and then we took a ferry to Kodiak Island, and so lots of fishermen are living on that island, and you can go to the docks there and at the beginning of salmon season and see if anybody's looking for work or anybody's, looking for workers, I should say. So we went there, and he again had more of a specific plan about what he wanted to do. And I didn't really. I was just thinking, okay, I want to go to Alaska and I'm here. And the goal I had was not very specific. I was just thinking, wow, it'd be cool to go to Alaska. And I didn't know really exactly what I wanted to do there because part of my thinking was I don't know what my options are. And this is what people often think about things in life. They want to know, like, they're looking at the options of something, like they want to see the menu from life and say, okay, so it is possible to do X, Y, and Z, but I guess, this other thing is not possible, so I won't even think about that. But what you learn, or what I'd like to help you see in this video, and what I discovered doing that, is that you have to think about it in the opposite way. So instead of waiting for a menu to come to you, you first decide what you want, and then you kind of create your own menu. So you think about specific things you can do, even if you don't know what is actually possible to do. So the whole point of changing the way you think, and this is why I think about helping you see learning English in a different way. So trying to help you learn through stories and interesting life experiences. Maybe some of them are mine, or I describe stories from other people, just because this is the best way to learn. It's the exact same way that native speakers learn. We just share stories with each other, and this is how we develop a vocabulary as well as fluency, so we can be able to speak more confidently in conversations. Anyway, so we're getting off the ferry, and he's walking around the docks, and he's feeling pretty confident because he's probably got a pretty decent job on a salmon boat. But I'm looking at these salmon boats, and they're actually pretty small. And I'm thinking, well, I don't really want to live on a salmon boat. And the way the job works is if you catch a lot of fish, then you make a lot of money. But if you don't catch much fish, then you don't make much money. So it's kind of you work a lot in order to make a lot of money. And I guess that's good to do if you want to do that. But for me, my reason for traveling to Alaska was really not to do a whole bunch of work. So I wanted to do maybe a little bit of work if that was possible. But we didn't know exactly what was possible. But in my mind, I slowly started thinking about, because I was feeling a little bit nervous, I'm here, and we basically got a one-way ticket to Alaska, and I didn't have much money, so I'm walking around and spending a few days up there, and we were kind of hitchhiking. So this just means to get, you hold out your thumb on the side of the road and people pick you up, and we're getting around the island that way. But we were hitchhiking, and so for the first maybe 2 or 3 days while we were there, and my friend Kevin, that's his name, he was just looking for work. I was just thinking to myself, trying to get very specific about what I wanted to do. I'd actually thought about maybe doing some gardening up there, trying to find maybe somebody that does some interesting gardening, and I was kind of excited about that idea, but I didn't really know how it would work. But the idea is, instead of thinking, salmon fishing is the only kind of job you can do, so you should get a job doing that. Again, it's looking at life like you're receiving a menu and you're receiving specific options, and then you decide what you want from that. So I started thinking, let's forget about the menu and let me just decide, what kind of life would I like to have, or what kind of experience would I like to have in Alaska? And so I was thinking about it, and it occurred to me that what I really wanted to do was get paid to take a tour around Alaska. Now, you can actually pay money to go on a cruise ship and take a tour around Alaska. That's easy to do. But how do you get paid for taking a tour around Alaska? So I was just like, let me put that idea out into the universe, and maybe I'll come up with something. So I was just thinking, Alaska is a beautiful place. I want to maybe do a little bit of work, but not too much. There's no point in coming to Alaska if I'm going to be working all the time. If I'm trying to catch fish and I can't, take a moment to enjoy all the natural beauty around me, then there's no real point in being up there. So I was happy to do a little bit of work, but I really just wanted to get paid, and I didn't need to make, a lot of money, but I wanted to get paid to take a tour around Alaska. So I didn't really know exactly how that would happen, but again, this is the difference between looking at life like you have a menu list of things, or deciding what it is you want and then trying to plan and create something around that. So maybe 2 or 3 days in, we were still, my friend was looking for work, and I was still just trying to think about what I wanted to do, but I had this idea in my head. So while we were hitchhiking, we get picked up by this guy, and he starts asking us questions like, what are you doing up here? And a lot of people on the island are very friendly. Actually, pretty much everyone was very friendly. I don't think I met anyone I didn't like on Kodiak Island. So it's a great place. I highly recommend you go check it out. If you can't get over there, I recommend, what's the name of that movie? It's a Kevin Costner movie about, I think it's called The Guardian. But you should watch that movie, and it shows a little bit of Kodiak and the lifestyle up there. It's an interesting movie about the people that go out and save fishermen. So people that are working for, they're divers, or, basically professional helpers that are out there and working for the Coast Guard, that kind of thing. So anyway, if you want to see that, look up The Guardian with Kevin Costner. It's a really interesting movie, and I highly recommend it. Anyway, so he took us around, and, we were just, I think maybe going from one store back to this room we had rented. Actually, no, we were camping. We were camping for the first couple of days. So we brought a tent out there, and we were just at a campground, but we were going to we were staying at some small room or something like that, using, it for the internet or something. Anyway, we were getting around and this guy picks us up and he's saying, "Oh, like, what do you do? Why are you here?" And my friend was saying, "Well, I'm here to like work on a salmon boat." And I was just like, "Well, I want to like kind of tour around Alaska and like, if I could get paid to do it, that would be pretty cool." And he was like, "Well, we have something like that actually." And, we were starting to get intrigued about that. And so instead of just working on a salmon boat, this guy, he owned a salmon tender boat. Now, I had no idea what tendering was, certainly never heard of it, and whenever I told people about it, or I'm maybe even telling you about it right now, and you have no idea what that is, but in the fishing industry, you would have a large boat that's kind of sucking the fish that the fishermen catch off of their boats and then bringing that fish back to the canneries. So they can hold many more fish because the boats are larger than a regular salmon boat can, and the salmon boats can remain on the water. So they can keep fishing, deliver the boat or deliver their fish to the other boat, the tender boat that we have, and then we go back and forth to the cannery and then they pull the fish out of that. So it's a very easy position. And all we have to do is operate a little bit of machinery on the boat, but it's pretty much like taking a tour. So we get a little bit of work and then we drive around and just enjoy life on the ocean a little bit. And, we have kayaks on the boat and other things, and we get to eat whatever we want to, and we get to pull up, crabs and fish and other things like that from the ocean and enjoy fresh fish all the time. So again, I had never heard of anything like that, and these are the same boats, these tender boats, which work as crabbing boats in the winter season. So the boats that go out and catch king crabs, that's like really dangerous work, one of the most dangerous jobs. I think you can learn more about this on Deadliest Catch. This is a TV show that talks about that. So my friend actually had gone back and done some crab fishing. I didn't really care about doing that. I don't like being really cold, but so anyway, it's like crazy conditions. Everybody gets injured somehow doing something like that. But anyway, the whole point of this story is just to remind you, or to get you thinking that you shouldn't be looking for a list of options from a menu. You shouldn't be saying like from life, like, tell me what I can do. You should decide first what it is exactly you want to do and then begin looking for ways that you'll kind of get an answer to that thing. And you'll probably surprise yourself, as we did, looking at something like that. My friend joined me on the boat and we had a fantastic time living on this pretty large boat. I think it was about 90 feet long. So it had like a PlayStation 2 in it and all the food we can eat. And it was like a fantastic, it was like a college days or something. So we get to relax and we would just read books, and then we would do a little bit of work when people were catching fish, but we got paid every day whether we were working or not. So it wasn't making a lot of money, but it was way better than having to, buy food and rent and all these other things. So we really enjoyed our experience, and we never would have thought about something like that had we just said, okay, these are the only options we have and we're going to do that thing. So today isn't so much a lesson about how do you learn English or some specific tip for that, but it's related to it in the sense that if you're thinking about how do you get fluent, like for myself, when I was thinking about how can I get fluent personally in Japanese and how can I help other people become fluent in English, I wasn't thinking about what are the ways to learn English, or what are the specific things you have to do. I was thinking what are the results that I want to get, or the results that I want to help you achieve, and then kind of working backwards from there. So when you ask the universe for certain things, you are very specific about what you want. You ask the right questions, or at least specific questions, then you really do surprise yourself with the things you discover about what's available on our world. So even if you don't know necessarily what's available, don't worry about that. It's more about trying to do your own thing, think about what you want to do, and it becomes much easier for you to arrive at an interesting conclusion or receive an interesting path for your own life. So for myself, I've received the path of being an English fluency guide as opposed to a teacher, because I wasn't looking for how do I teach this? How do I teach that? How do I teach that? I wasn't asking questions about how do I teach. I was asking questions about what do you need to do if you want to speak fluently? What do you need to do if you want to actually use grammar correctly and automatically? What do you need to do if you want to pronounce words accurately? So it was a combination of thinking in this way that got me thinking now the way I do as an English fluency guide. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this story, this lesson. It's a really very powerful idea. I recommend you apply it in your own life. Again, don't look for the menu from life. Look for what you're trying to do. Think about the ideas you want to do, what you want to have, and don't try to stop yourself with like, well, that's not possible, or I don't know how I can do that. Like, just focus on what you want. And I've talked about this this very important idea in this series before, so I forget which video it was in this series. There are now like 60 of them, something like that. But a fairly recent one, I believe. Anyway, you focus on what you want, not what's available, and that's what's going to get you something that you're really excited about. That's the end of this lesson. If you have enjoyed it, do click that like button, become a subscriber to the YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye. To continue learning, click on the link in this video to download Speak English Naturally, our free guide to speaking and sounding like a native English speaker. The guide reveals the 3 most important kinds of conversational English you must learn if you want to sound native, and will help you experience instant improvement in your fluency and speaking confidence. To download your free guide on a mobile device, click on the link in the upper right of this video. To download your free guide from a computer, click on the link in the lower right of this video. I look forward to seeing you in the guide.